some strategies that actors can use to stay motivated and inspired during inactivity or unemployment?
Motivation comes from oftentimes our inner, the things that we tell ourselves, those inner conversations and thoughts that we have. Sometimes we have a narrative around certain things that are happening. So in times of low employment, actors might be telling themselves, about their abilities, and telling stories that are going to be negative. Oftentimes we do that because that's what the brain does. We tell ourselves negative stories. So to stay motivated is to stay focused and to continue with positive self-talk, with telling themselves positive things, with reaffirming themselves in their skills, in their craft, in the things that they do, and the things that they do well, and the skill sets that they have, what kind of work that they've done before, because that will keep them in a completely different frame of mind than sinking into allowing the negative thoughts to overtake and overwhelm about the period that they're in.
So, how do you start talking to yourself in a way that starts to give you a healthy mindset?
I think that comes with training, which actors would be really good at because they have to train, they have to memorize scripts and know scripts. And so learning how to talk to ourselves in a positive way takes time. It takes training, because if you've never heard anybody tell you anything positive about yourself, you start to believe the narrative that you grew up hearing. And so in order to change that, it takes deliberate work. So practicing it. One woman came to my retreat and she did something. I gave out an affirmation jar and she went home, put them on her wall. And she says, during times when I'm feeling really low, I go to my wall and I remind myself of the positive things that was in that jar. And so it's really training ourselves, training the brain to remember those things and training ourselves to believe it. Because if we've never heard it, once again, when we're coming with a past that is traumatic and we're taking things like low self-esteem with us and negative self-talk, then rewriting that will take time. But as long as you start and as long as you're consistent with practice, it will be achievable.
There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about, as a man thinketh, so is he. How we think of ourselves is how we show up in the world.
Absolutely.
So if I've never had anybody talk to me in a good way, and I see myself as a loser, as somebody who never gets ahead, I'm the victim, woe is me. How can I start? Because you said positive talk, but maybe I grew up where they made fun of people who talked positively. I know for myself, when I was growing up, I was very positive in a very negative community. And I would always get made fun of because I was always seeing what I wanted, not what was happening around me. I was always speaking something positive. But what I've learned is sometimes community affects people in a way that they stay the victim, because their surrounding keeps reinforcing that. So I want to break that pattern. I want to break that mindset. I want to break that stinking thinking. But I'm still in the same location. What do I do?
As you were talking, I thought of community. Community is so important in helping us to create real lasting changes in our lives. And one of the wonderful things about the internet is that it gives us access to community that we wouldn't have next door or 10 minutes down the road. And so changing community is going to be really important, because it's going to be really difficult to maintain a change in mindset when you're in the same space every day with people that talk the same, that act the same and respond to you in ways that are not positive, and it's not supportive of the changes that you would like to make in your life. And so finding communities that is thinking the way you are or would like to think, people who foster a mindset and a behavior and attitude on life like what you would like to have, then we find those communities and stay in those communities, because that will help us. And also people that are doing things that are completely different, amazing things, lives that is very different from what you're seeing in your day-to-day life. But changing your community is going to be really crucial in helping to change your mindset.
So, what are a couple of things that I should look for when I'm seeking out the community?
So people who their talk is positive, and not just, I know there's lots of, we call now toxic positivity, not the positivity that ignores like real life and the way real life impacts us, but a space where both can be, where joy and sorrow can coexist, a space where I can be not okay today and it's okay, and I can be heard and held and listened to, but I know that I'm leaving that space with something that's going to take me through to the next time we meet. So sometimes I like to, there's so many podcasts available and so many communities available. So I watch a few, spend some time and listen to this person over time to see if their mindset is this somebody I want to give access to my mind? And because sometimes over a period of time, you will begin to hear things that you think, no, that's too similar to what I'm coming from. And that's not where I need to be. I've grown beyond that. And so give it some time, take some time to learn people and listen for whether or not they're on the wave, the place that you would like to go. If they're there, if they're going there, will this space be able to hold all of me, or will I have to pretend to be somebody that I'm not? Will the space be able to contain all of what I bring? And go test the space. If you test the space out and realize that it can't, don't get discouraged and get turned off from trying. Keep trying, because there's a community that is able to hold you and maintain and help you get to the place and the person that you'd want to be.
A lot of times, actors go on social media
Mm.
seeking community and end up leaving social media after scrolling and scrolling and scrolling for hours and hours and hours, and now they're discouraged. It almost damages them more. So as we are looking for community, how do we protect ourselves from all these things coming up, right? Because if I don't know about podcasts and I just know, hey, I got an Instagram page and I go on my Instagram or I go on my TikTok, how do I go, wait a minute, this isn't good for me? How do I take care of myself while navigating through social media before I get to the real community? Because I think sometimes we think that social media is our community.
Such a great question. I believe that, and it can make however we're feeling worse when we're scrolling and seeing different things. But I think we've really good, like, search engines. Type, if you know some of what you want, type it in Google. Ask Uncle Google, we say, and it will give suggestions of some possibilities of what you could look into. And the beautiful thing about the algorithm, like it or not, or sometimes it works for us, sometimes it don't, when you find one, it will send you similar things to what you've just looked at or what you've researched. I've found a lot of things like that because I thought, well, who is this person and why are they on my timeline? The thing about social media is it will give you more of what you look at. So if the kind of things that you look at, they go, okay, so this person wants more of that, so I'm going to give them more of that. But you can start to change your timeline by choosing what you look at. So if you're specifically wanting help around mindset, and if you when you start to look at a video along that line, they will send you more of that, and so in that, then you can make your choice.
So I would type in healthy mindset.
That's
So
it.
that, because mindset could take me anywhere, but
Absolutely.
I want to go healthy mindset. That, you just brought up, I love the thing about the algorithm, that because that is what we do internally, right? We have our own algorithm that we start, if something goes bad, we then start typing in our little computers, like, why am I so bad? Why can't I get work? Why don't the people like me? Why can't I figure this out? And in doing that, that creates damage, and it creates doubt, and
Yes.
it doesn't let you go anywhere. So how do we start to break that?
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. It really does, because we tend to fall back on those thoughts, don't they? It's natural and normal that they will come, that we will overthink things, and it's natural and normal that we blame ourselves for why we can't get work, or why they don't like me, or we don't reframe it. And that's one thing to begin to do, to reframe those thoughts when they come. Sometimes not to pay attention to them. I say to people, let it be like, when you're watching television and things are just running along the screen, but you're not reading the caption. So sometimes our negative thoughts can be like that. Don't tell yourself a story about them, or reframe when it comes. Why can't I get work, and why don't they like me? The thing you tell yourself next about that is going to be really important about how you feel and how you manage today. So why can't I get work could be a number of different reasons why they don't like me. And the two might not be the same. Why you're not getting work and why they don't like you might not be the same. You might not be getting work because they don't like you completely. It might not be that at all. But of course, as humans, we naturally think that I'm not getting work because they don't like me. And so it's really important to reframe the things that comes, to not just accept the thoughts as they come. You're waking up on a day, it's a really difficult day, and you're really struggling, and you want to work, and you want to do the work that you love, that practice the craft that you've maybe spent hours perfecting and lots of money to do. And why am I not getting work today? So a couple things. We can accept that today is a difficult day. I'm having a really difficult day today. I've not worked for so long, and it's a difficult day, and that's okay. So the next thing is, what do I need when I'm having a difficult day? How can I comfort myself when I'm having a difficult day? And it's okay to do that. And I'm thinking, today I'm staying in bed, I'm having tea, I'm watching comedy, and I'm just going to be. Or I'm going to meet a friend, I'm going for a walk, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to do something that is really different because today's a difficult day. I haven't had work. Or if you're busy and you have to get out the house, managing your thoughts around it is going to be crucial. How can I manage my thoughts around this? And reframe, always reframe it. Tell yourself the truth about what it is. And all you know that's true is you're not having work. You don't know why you're not having work. So it's important.
One of the things that I started doing early on, to reframe for myself, and maybe this will help the actor out there, is that I started to think about doing things to be of service, so that it took it out of me, my me pity party, and it allowed me to be able to take care of somebody else, so that when I go to the audition, or I'm doing something, a self tape, or a meeting with somebody, I go, how can I be of service to this person? How can I serve the piece? If I'm I learned this from Anthony Robbins a long time ago, which was, you can only think of one thing at a time, right? And so that in for me to just go, how can I help Joanna today? What do you need today to get out of myself? Because sometimes as actors, we can be a little too indulging in our feelings. It's all about my feelings. I'm feeling, and I learned this a long time ago, because I used to get so freaked out. I'd go up for auditions, didn't get them. My finances were tight, that made it even worse. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to get hired. I can't pay my rent this month. I don't know what to do. And then it would go on and on and on. But when I started looking at it from a different angle, and going, you know what? My mood can change in 1 second if I get the right phone call. If I get a call that says you booked the job, this feeling is going to change immediately. So, what I started doing was saying to myself, this is a great day. It is a new day. You have a new opportunity to do something different. So go for something different as opposed to having that pity party, which my godmother taught me. You're only allowed 5 minutes of a pity party. You go for it, have the best pity party you can in 5 minutes, and then you got to let it go because that's time you will never get back. So, in that space of feeling sorry for ourselves or feeling ill equipped, what suggestions can you give the actor out there, even the artist? Because it's the same. I mean, you can put a different name on it, but it's the same thing. We are creativity requires not just the mindset, but it requires to have an emotional openness in order to be able to create.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't know how to manage it properly. So how can we start bringing the two together in harmony to get us where we want to go?
You're right. Creativity can't flow when our mind is occupied and busy with other things. And Tony Robbins is right. The brain cannot focus on two things at once, and so choosing what we focus on makes a massive difference. And as I was listening to you, when you talked about giving yourself the pity party and then having to and moving on, so a thing to remember is that our feelings are true. What we're feeling is true, but what it's telling us is often not true. And so if we focus on, if they shift the focus, and it's again going back to mindset, shifting the focus about how I'm thinking about how I'm feeling, so that I have space to be creative, so that I can be all I want to be today.